Good morning, welcome to Breakfast with Charlie States and Naga Monchetti.
Our headlines today. The NHS's Jingle Jabs campaign. Hundreds of thousands of COVID boosters will be on offer on Christmas Day and Boxing Day.
In his Christmas message, the Prime Minister says getting vaccinated is the best gift people can give family and friends.
Get that jab, whether it's your first or your second or your booster, so that next year's festivities are even better than this year's.
Pictured ahead of her first Christmas broadcast since the death of Prince Philip, the Queen is expected to give a very personal address.
There are just a few hours left, but is there any festive cheer for retailers this year? After COVID, Brexit and supply chain disruptions, have shoppers got what they need?
Good morning. Talk of a player strike in the Premier League. Manager Pep Guardiola says the threat might make football authorities listen to players over their welfare.
Ready for launch, the space telescope that could change our understanding of the universe.
Good morning. If you're heading out early, watch out for fog. There's some dense patches around. Today's forecast is a fairly cloudy one. We've got some patchy light rain in the north with some snow flurries, mostly on higher ground, and heavier rain coming in from the southwest through the day. I'll have all the details later on in the programme.
Good morning, it's Christmas Eve, Friday the 24th of December. Our main story today, COVID vaccination clinics will remain open tomorrow and throughout the holiday weekend as the booster rollout continues amid surging infection rates.
Health service staff and volunteers will be giving jabs at scores of clinics, including town halls and pharmacies. In his Christmas message, Boris Johnson describes the jab as a wonderful gift that people can give to keep their families safe. Here's our political correspondent, Helen Catt.
The Prime Minister has said for a while that he believed this Christmas would be better than last. And he said he won't flip the switch on any new restrictions in England before tomorrow. He's used his annual Christmas message to urge us to take extra caution, though, and suggested getting a vaccine is in the Christian spirit of the season.
Getting jabbed, not just for themselves, for ourselves, but for friends and family and everyone we meet. And that, after all, is the teaching of Jesus Christ, whose birth is at the heart of this enormous festival, that we should love our neighbours as we love ourselves. And so let's think of all those who are being good neighbours and thinking of others.
In the 24 hours to yesterday, almost 120,000 new infections were recorded, a record high, and there were 147 deaths within 28 days of a positive test. In his Christmas message, the Labour leader said this year had been incredibly difficult for the country.
In the darkest of times, Christian values of kindness, of compassion and hope have shone through. Communities have come together to help one another. Key workers have saved countless lives.
There is some positive news. The UK Health Security Agency says that someone with Omicron is between 30 and 45% less likely to visit A&E than if they had Delta, and between 50 and 70% less likely to be admitted to hospital. But it warned that higher transmission could still mean significant numbers of people end up there, and it also suggested booster jab protection wanes faster against Omicron than Delta, 15 to 25% lower after 10 weeks. Some vaccination centres will stay open throughout Christmas. 200,000 slots are available between now and Boxing Day, according to NHS England, in what it's calling its Jingle Jabs campaign. Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland have already announced that further restrictions will come into force from Boxing Day to tackle Omicron. So far, Number 10 has not followed suit, saying it continues to monitor the data, but it has not ruled out further measures after Christmas. Helen Catt, BBC News, Westminster.
Let's talk to our political correspondent Ian Watson, who joins us from Westminster. Morning, Ian. So all the leaders putting out their Christmas messages.
That's right, now again. Interesting, actually, at this time of year that they are indeed stressing Christian values. Both Boris Johnson and Keir Starmer mentioning that in their Christmas messages. Now, there's been some pretty high-profile endorsements of the booster campaign, hasn't there? And Boris Johnson even suggesting perhaps that Jesus Christ himself would approve. He says this is in line with the teachings of love thy neighbour. You could give your friends, your family, indeed the whole country a Christmas gift by getting jabbed, as we heard vaccination centres remaining open in some places over the coming weekend. That's part of his key message, but I think what's interesting is what he didn't quite say in that Christmas message as well, but what Downing Street are saying today. Now, in the Christmas message, Boris Johnson says that Omicron cases are still surging. Downing Street are saying, look, the situation remains difficult across parts of the country, and also that the whole situation at the moment is finely balanced. Now, all that tends to suggest that they're not ruling out further restrictions after Christmas when ministers take a look at the data and reach their decisions. But I think what we're hearing there about the less severe form of the disease, Omicron, less likely to send you to hospital, will strengthen the hands of those in the Cabinet who say in England that restrictions should be resisted and they shouldn't be following the same route as Scotland and Wales, which will be introducing restrictions from Boxing Day. Interesting too when you look at the talk of Christian values by both the main party leaders. I think there's nonetheless not entirely a Christmas truce between them, because I thought it was interesting Keir Starmer's message that he thanks the NHS for the vaccination programme, rather pointedly, not the government, and also points out that it was Labour that founded the NHS 75 years ago.
Ian, thanks very much, Ian Watson there.
Well, Scotland's First Minister says the vaccination campaign had been a source of brightness during a really difficult month, as she used her Christmas message to urge Scots to get the jab. Nicola Sturgeon described vaccination as the best way to show compassion for and solidarity with each other. She also thanked all those who are working over the festive period, saying that for many, tomorrow would not be a holiday at all.
The Queen is expected to give a very personal Christmas message tomorrow, her first since the death of her husband, Prince Philip.
She will speak beside a framed photograph of the couple taken during their diamond wedding anniversary in 2007, will wear the same sapphire brooch she wore on her honeymoon. Our royal correspondent, Nicholas Witchell, has this report.
For the Queen, forced for a second year by COVID to spend Christmas at Windsor rather than hosting her family at Sandringham, this will be a moment to reflect on a year marked by sadness. Her Christmas broadcast, a still from which has been issued by Buckingham Palace, is expected to be a very personal one. Prominently on the desk beside her, a photograph of her and Prince Philip taken in 2007 when they celebrated their diamond wedding anniversary. Philip's death last April, 2 months short of his 100th birthday and after 73 years of marriage, was the emotional low point of the year for the monarch. Apart from a reference to him in her address to the COP26 conference, the Queen has not so far spoken publicly about how much he meant to her. Her broadcast may be an opportunity for her to do so. Within the royal family, mindful that this will be the Queen's first Christmas without her husband, arrangements have been changed so that she won't be alone. Clarence House has confirmed that the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall will join her at Windsor on Christmas Day. Other members of the family may also be there, but absent, of course, will be the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. From their home in California, they've issued this photograph, wishing their supporters happy holidays. It shows Harry and Meghan with their son Archie and their daughter Lilibet, pictured for the first time. And while the Queen will doubtless look back on a year touched by personal sadness and some family tensions, she will surely also look to the future, to her Platinum Jubilee next year, marking her 70 years on the throne, and another event which will be of particular significance for her, a service of thanksgiving for the life of the Duke of Edinburgh, which it's been announced will take place at Westminster Abbey in the spring. Nicholas Witchell, BBC News.
See the headlines as they happen and watch BBC News live in the app and get the full story with bbc.co.uk/news. Follow the story for all the latest with BBC News.